SoFloRadio.com and SoFloTelevision.com. Since the dawn of civilization, the elusive quest in pursuit of the perfect drink continues to evolve. Now more than ever, we reap the rewards of this passion. The perfect vintage, the finest brew, or a spirit of optimum age and class. And now, SoFloRadio.com invites you to discover the wonderful world of booze by the glass.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to By the Glass. Here, I'm your host, Brett Hubbard, and I'm welcoming you to explore the wonderful world of wine, beer, spirits, and everything in between. I'm joined by my board man, George. Yeah, Jason's not here tonight. Unfortunately, had a little bit of an ear infection, but he'll be back next week. But Jason, get better. And of course, we're joined by the wonderful Morgan Hartman of Vine Connection. Thanks so much for coming. And she brought with her Matias Fraga. He is the right-hand man of a Takal Winery, and it's a thank you so much for being in studio with us.
Thanks for the invitation, Brett.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure, especially someone who knows the wine industry, such as yourself, someone who's actually grown up and actually had been a part of it right from the start, and works with someone who's a legend in his own right for the Catena of name, and to bring you into the studio and have you try some wines with us. It's an absolute pleasure. So, thanks so much. How was your trip?
Well, it was long, but it's always great to be here in Florida.
Yeah, and what you were saying, you guys are just going into summer down there as we're having a winter here. So
yeah, definitely, this is a treat. How
do the grapes look so far? How's the harvest?
Well, 2 days before coming, we had a big sonda. I don't know if you're familiar with sonda. It's a wind it's a wind from the Pacific that crashes into the mountain, and then it goes into Mendoza, extremely dry and hot and very fast.
We have those in California. They're called the Santa Ana winds.
Sometimes.
And they're the similar type of thing. So do they cause a lot of destruction to the bud rate?
Yeah, usually at this time, it's just a little destruction. If it had been maybe 3 weeks earlier, in the moment of flowering, it would have been much worse. But it's one of the many things we deal with in Mendoza for making wine.
You guys have dealt with a lot. There's a lot of rich history, and when we get into that tonight. Well, Matias Fraga is the general manager for Ernesto Catena Vineyards in Argentina, and Tikal is the winery that we're talking about tonight. But Ernesto Catena, he has a very rich history. You mind talking a little bit about him being the general manager?
Yes, definitely. Well, Ernesto is a fourth-generation wine grower. The Catena family has been in the wine business in Argentina for over 100 years.
Yeah.
And I always describe Ernesto as the bohemian side of the Catena family. He I think is the first from all the generations that have been in the business, seeing the wine from a more artistic perspective than a more scientific perspective.
Right. So now that the vineyards have actually come to the point, and I think that everybody really needs to study Argentinian wine because they need to understand where wine overall has come in its history, and it's a great portrait of wine and winemaking. Now, the family originally immigrated from Italy, correct?
Originally from Italy, from a place called Ancona.
Latter part of the 19th century. And coming over from there without much, you have to really create something out of nothing, and it's probably, one of the first things that they had to do was make the land well enough to grow grapes itself and become something that would really produce these fine fruits. But then taking it from that level of something that's going to produce fruit to producing the type of fruit that they really need to produce these world-class wines, that's a whole nother story, and that's the legacy, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. The Catenas had been maybe the first family really focusing on doing high-quality wines. Yeah. In a moment where Argentina was all about producing volume. We used to drink over 90 liters per capita a year. The U.S. today is 12 liters of wine, and now Argentina is 30, so it's 1/3 that 20 years ago, but the shifting quality has been amazing. So now people is drinking much less, but of more quality, and that is thanks to
And they used to call it table wine, the Mesa Vino.
Yes,
right?
table wine, yeah.
And that was
red and white, and that was it.
Red and white, and you really didn't have too much of a varietal to speak of. It was what really grew well there. And which brings me to my next. Talk to me a little bit about Bonarda, which is an interesting grape. Now, Robert Parker, who, if you guys don't know out there who he is, he's one of the foremost authorities in wine and and critics.
Yeah, that's
and,
what he says. Oh, sorry, I just remember that show where you guys were arguing about Robert Parker.
Yeah, well, Robert Parker, he's got he's a big name in the business, and he gives you guys unbelievable accolades for Tikal. But he talks a little bit about basically it's your creative blending with the Bonarda. So talk to me about that grape and how you feel about it, its history in Argentina and so forth.
Well, Bonarda was brought by the Italians, like the Catena family, originally from Italy. Yes,
Piedmont region, right?
Yes, a grape called Charbono.
Okay.
Charbon.
Yeah.
So that mutated into what we call today the Bonarda in Argentina. People don't know, but for many years it was the widest planted grape in Argentina. Today is even more planted than Cabernet Sauvignon. Still,
the look of it, is it like a big grapes, large like a Concord or something like that?
Grapes are a little bigger. The maturity happens a little later, and usually the crops are very high. So it was the one that people picked to make vino de mesa, the table wine, because they would make from
because they're looking to get a safe crop.
Exactly.
They're not looking for this complexity. They want something they can produce, that people can drink, that they can make money, and so you have an actual product.
Yeah, but in Bonarda we're facing this paradox where we want to use the old vines that many years ago produced a lot of volume, but we want to change them into old vines that will produce low volume to then achieve high quality wines from that same vine.
You guys really do a lot of research when it comes to the actual terroir, cutting the specific vines, because there's what people don't realize within the varietal grapes and the types of vines is there's many different clone sections you can use. You do a lot of assemblage of different actual similar varietals to make these wines, correct? But you guys use a lot of different graftings to find the perfect spot for the perfect specific genus of the plant, I would say, to get that quality that you're really looking for. And that's painstaking, years of work that goes into this.
Yes, definitely. One same clone of Malbec will adapt completely different in a soil that has more clay or more stone and will retain more or less humidity. Yeah. And if you don't know which is the clone that you want to use in that precise piece of land, then you are not taking 100% of the potential of that plant. Right. So it's a very slow process. It takes generations. We are not going to see the results of what we're doing now.
I think that's noble. To go into, and a lot of the most noble things in the world are people that have these endeavors that they've gone into where they're never going to see the final results, but they know that it's something that they can pass on for generations.
Wine is a lot about that. Wine is about very long term,
and they leave legacies behind.
Exactly, history.
That's fantastic too. It is amazing. So so basically we're going to talk a little bit about the Tikal winery. Let's talk a little bit about you, Matias. You're from Buenos Aires.
I was born in Buenos Aires. I moved to Mendoza when I was 15 years old with my family. For many years, I was in the restaurant business.
It says here that you started a little gourmet store called Azafran.
Yes.
Tell me about that. That sounds so interesting.
Well, it was a grocery store at the beginning. We sell all imported gourmet products from around the world. But Argentina went through a terrible crisis in 2000, and all the imports were closed. So suddenly I have to change the business, and we started opening as a restaurant. Okay. And that is how the business mutated to restaurant. And today is a very successful.
So you had to rely on all local produce, everything
all local products. Yeah, exactly. We have to change from.
Thank God you guys got great wine and beef.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You start a restaurant. That's fantastic.
Then in that restaurant I met Ernesto Catena, and he many times insisted to join his troops in the winery, and one day I got tired of the restaurant business, and I did follow Ernesto, and I never regret. I love this side of the business. So
that's fantastic. So so you moved at a pretty young age, but you were in college. You were marketing, correct?
Yes, I was studying marketing, and little by little I find out that my true passion in the wine is more the production side than the commercial side.
I don't think a lot of people realize what really goes into winemaking. Now, I think it's pretty laid out for you when it comes to beer, even spirits. I mean, they get to see the building. Oh, let's go visit the brewery. Oh, look, this is where we're taking the mash. We're dipping it in water, and blah, blah, blah. And they're doing all that stuff. But winemaking is one with the earth. It's just painstaking agriculture. It's farming. It's waiting for something to grow and hoping that it'll come out perfectly, and understanding the land that you live on. And we're talking about massive areas here. Now, talk to me a little bit about the terroir, the regions of Mendoza. Talk to me about the soils and how they work their way up to the Andes and the Tupungato and all that type of thing.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that I think the thing that differentiates it more the wine from maybe the beer or the spirits is we have one chance. We have one harvest, and that's it. So you work for a whole year for just one chance. And if something goes wrong and you screw, you lost your whole harvest until next year. Beer is always going, spirits are always going.
That's
so we have to
understand.
deal with that responsibility. Our decisions are sometimes very difficult because maybe if you risk a little, you lose everything.
Well, I think that's one of the main things. You got to know when to pick it. I mean, that's just one of a million decisions you have to make. It can hang too long and raisinate. It can grow fungus. There could be a rain.
Raisinate? Is that a
a word?
that a verb?
Turn into a raisin.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And dry out too much.
Gotta write that one down.
Yeah, raisinate. that's what you're doing, George.
Well,
You're raisinating over
you can
here.
import ingredients from other places if you're talking about beer or whiskey or things like that. But with grapes, the terroir is
It's what makes a difference.
Yeah.
And once you have the grapes, that's only half the battle. Then you have to make the wine.
Then you have to make the wine.
So it's just this tremendous, this tumultuous, but the passion is all there, and that's what Tikal is all about. From what I've heard about Tikal, this wine's about passion. It's not so much technical. That Ernesto wants you to feel something from these wines, correct?
Definitely. He was running a very big winery of the family, of the Catena. This was in the almost 2000, year 2000.
Yeah.
And he got tired of going through a whole process of board approval to implement new ideas into conceiving concepts for wine. And that is how he created his own product, Ernesto Catena Vineyards, and the first brand he releases is Tikal, that is the name of his son, but
really?
also is the name of a ruins in Guatemala that for
the
him they
national
represent.
park, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
He was there, he got so blown out that he called his son Tikal and he named his first wines Tikal.
Now, don't you think, being in marketing, that there's a segment of people that are interested in wine that has this passionate, good feeling about it, but not necessarily a technical aspect? Isn't there a segment of people that want something that's made quality, like these wines, but they're not really built just on these constant technical? I mean, let's leave that to Bordeaux when you want to go do that. So, but I think all of Argentina, I think this whole Latin flair, it shines through the product. I think that is that what.
Yes.
Don't you think there's a segment out there for those types of people?
Definitely, I agree. I mean, that is one of the main reasons why little by little we've been transitioning into biodynamics and into organic vineyards, because it's another option to give even more personality to what you are doing, and not just a technical process of making wine, but to believe in transmitting a feeling to the wine. And Ernesto is a little like that. He conceives wine as art also. It's not just a combination of colors and paint in a piece of paper, but it's an attitude and a mood of the person taking the
That's fantastic.
pencil.
Talk a little bit about the vineyard that's planted in a labyrinth.
Well,
That's certainly part of the art.
That is part of our Vista Flores vineyard. You were asking me about the regions.
Yeah.
So mostly Mendoza is divided in three. You have the east region, where Bonarda is very popular there. It's very warm. Soils are very fertile. So it's usually not very good to do high quality because you have too much crop.
Right.
Then you have the Central Valley, which is Luján de Cuyo, very famous, very traditional for Malbec. And then you have the Uco Valley, the southern part, where it's cooler, and I think you have a more balance between
better aeration,
tractor
sandy loam, and gravel.
and elegance.
Yeah.
In Uco Valley, we have our estate vineyard for Tikal in a place called Vista Flores, a beautiful area, amazing because you are surrounded by mountains, but at the same time, it's a very fertile soil. So you have a combination of two very interesting things. And inside the vineyard, Ernesto creates a lot of figures and concepts that represent him.
Oh, yeah,
we have a labyrinth there. We have an amazing rose garden.
Right.
We are building. Now we are about to launch our biodynamic winery. That is a 12,000 liter winery only.
Wow.
Made all with old wood recovered and with the shape of a snail. So it's a very, very crazy idea that he's implementing. Then we have an amazing reservoir that has a big triangular shape We have the polo field. All that is in different parts of the vineyard. And mostly because he believes that a happy grape will make a happy wine. So,
that makes sense. It's kind of like feng shui for your vineyard.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he says it can't be the same wine if it's made in a industrial vineyard than in a vineyard that is beautiful. We leave space to grow trees. It's not just a production place. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I like the idea of a happy grape.
Yeah, that's why they don't really.
I would like to drink a happy grape.
Drinking happy grapes.
That's his way of saying it's time to drink.
Yeah.
So in your,
I said the drinking alarm.
There's a drinking
15
alarm.
15 minutes in.
15 minutes in. Yeah. So tell me in your wonderful opinion what we should start with. I mean, these are the names. I'll butcher them. So you please read off the names of some of your better wines here.
So I think we should start with Tikal Natural. That is the younger of.
Now that would be the one
our wines.
That would be the one that you had just spoke of. It's all made natural.
Yes.
There's no pesticides. What are the pests like down there? Basically, you have a little bit better than Europe. I know that Chile is one of the places that didn't really have a lot of the louse diseases or anything or the fungus that grow. Is Argentina fairly pest free?
Argentina is fairly pest free. It's very healthy, mostly because our weather is extremely dry.
Yeah.
So nothing gets to really survive there. But still, many people, mostly for tradition, they use pesticides. We are very committed to not using pesticides, not using fertilizers. And also, we are giving a step ahead and going into biodynamics. That is a little more. We harvest according to the cycles of the moon. We try to keep a balance between all the elements that we have inside the vineyard. Nothing comes from outside. We produce everything, our own fertilizers, organic fertilizers. I'm there with animals that live there. So we try to, create a sustainable environment that will produce, again, a happy grape.
Yeah.
That will produce a happy wine.
So I think you need to make a
You're teasing me now.
Make a wine called the Happy Grape, right? Is there a wine called the Happy Grape, Morgan? I don't know.
There should be.
Should be.
If there isn't,
I'm looking at the wines in the wine. They got every name
Perfect.
there. Why not?
This is the Natural, and this is interesting. So this one is a Malbec Syrah blend made from organic grapes that grow in the Tikal vineyard in the Vista Flores. And the Vista Flores, it sounds wonderful. If you guys saw it at home, you'd be. The labyrinth is kind of like a crop circle. Modern day, if you saw it from the top, it makes a very interesting design. Now, how long did something like that take to produce? I mean, to actually cut it out, and
we did our first harvest of the labyrinth this year, 2012.
Right.
Was our first harvest.
Yeah.
So we harvest the whole vineyard with the whole labyrinth with llamas. You know llamas?
Llamas, yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
We are training them to carry the grapes in baskets on their backs from the labyrinth to the biodynamic winery that we are building 200 meters from the labyrinth.
That's fantastic.
So we're trying to get the wine with less human intervention as possible.
Now, how does that affect the grapes? That's a pretty rocky terrain and it's bouncing around. Do you lose a lot of crop that way?
No, because the containers are very small, so you never get more than 15 kilograms. So they never get to crush. So
that's perfect. So as we try this wine, this is beautiful. Of course.
This is actually not Bonarda. This is 100% Malbec, and it is the Natural, which is brand new to us.
It says this has some Syrah in it as well.
Natural in 2010 had a very little Syrah. 2011 is 40% Syrah.
Okay.
The main idea for Tikal is the art of blending Malbec. So it's Malbec with something. In all our Tikal wines, we're trying to find the best match for the Malbec grape.
I think I like to think of it as the same concept as a Super Tuscan, where in Italy they use the Sangiovese and they blend it with other grapes to really show the beauty of their predominant grape. Do you feel the same?
I agree completely, yes. That is the main concept of Tikal. In the case of the Natural, I think the distinctive characteristic is the acidity here. Yeah. I think you can find it a little more present, gives a lot of freshness to the wine. By working organically or biodynamically, we're trying to keep healthy plants. So we are a little against the concept of over-stressing the vines to get very concentrated grapes. We feel like there has to be a little more balance. So we sacrifice some concentration to get some freshness.
Talk to me about irrigation. I know you guys are very strict about that. I mean,
well, irrigation, in Mendoza, only 4% of the whole city of Mendoza is under irrigation. So it's a huge desert. So water is a very, very
it's a commodity.
Well, and very hard to get. By the way.
And you get water rights, correct?
You get water rights, so you buy a piece of land with water rights to irrigate. Maybe your neighbor doesn't have water rights, so his land is worth $100. You have a water right, so your land is worth $10,000. I mean,
that's amazing.
The big difference is having or not having the right to irrigate. That's what makes it all the difference. And we use drip irrigation. That is the most efficient way of managing the water. But still, many of the vineyards are irrigated under flood irrigation.
Fantastic.
And you can choose how to irrigate. You can do flood irrigation or drip irrigation depending on the conditions.
Exactly.
At the time.
Right now we're doing both at the same time.
Requires some decision making.
Yes, in winter we are doing flood irrigation, where you have more water because nobody's using it, so we feel we're not affecting anyone. And in summer, where everybody needs the water, we do drip irrigation to be more efficient.
Is there a main source nearby? Isn't there some type of big lake somewhere?
All the water is in Mendoza. We use the same system that was developed by the Inca Indians 2,000 years ago.
Wow.
So we store the water in the same location. We use the same canals they developed. Everything has been improved, but it's the same structure that they built. So mostly it's big water dams in the mountain, and then they manage through small canals that go into all the vineyards, and once every 15 days you get your chance to go open the gate, let the water in, and then you have to close it.
When I was in Argentina the first time, I remember we went to a place where the irrigation stopped, and we could literally straddle 1 foot on the other where the irrigation stopped, and it was Technicolor on one side and it was like black and white on the other side because it was desert, but it was completely irrigated on the other. It's pretty
it's dramatic.
It is dramatic. That's the right
definitely.
word.
That's amazing.
It is.
So talk to me a little bit about the Syrah in this blend. A lot of people, I think, they ask themselves, Malbec was that blending grape of Bordeaux, but it just thrives in Argentina. Syrah is a fantastic grape from France.
Yes, definitely.
Well, why does Malbec do so much better, and how is Malbec? How do you perceive it differently from the Syrah in a blend like this?
Here we don't think globally; we think on what happens in our vineyard.
Right.
And in our vineyard, we've noticed that a clone of Syrah that we have is giving us an amazing quality, and it complements very well with the Malbec. I think it's giving a little more weight to a more fresher Malbec with less structure than we have. So the combination of the beautiful color of the Malbec and the sweet tannins of the Malbec with some of the structure of the Syrah.
There's an amazing mouthfeel on this.
Yes, definitely.
And that comes from the Syrah, huh?
Mostly from that Syrah of that vineyard. So I wouldn't be able to say that every person doing a blend of Syrah Malbec will get a similar result, but in our vineyard, the way we have it and the plants that we have, they do.
That's fantastic. So this being a natural, is this one aged at all? Any type of wood, or how does that work?
Yes, this is aged for 8 months. Here we only use alternative oak, no barrels.
Talk to me about that.
Well, you have different ways of integrating oak into the wine.
Right.
Though people love to say that everything goes into 225 little oak barrels.
Yeah.
It's a lie. I mean,
so
there's not enough oak in the world. No, you can use chip, which nowadays you have amazing quality of chips. But we use mostly staves. So it's big pieces of wood of oak that we put inside the stainless steel tank. We build a structure. So it creates a very similar atmosphere, but it's more efficient and it's not so invasive to the wine. So you don't need to
less handling, less racking.
And you don't waste the outside of the oak either.
No, and at the same time, then you don't need to store the wine to cellar the wine for a year to get integration. With the integration happens a little faster with stave, and we want to keep the freshness. So making a wine that will go to oak barrels and then 1 or 2 years in bottle and then to the market, I think we would be losing a little of this freshness and.
But you do use barrels for some of your wines, correct?
We use a lot of barrels.
Barrelitos, right?
Yeah. We use a lot of barrels, definitely.
Well, we'll talk about some of those wines when we get back into those, yeah. But this is amazing stuff. So what do you guys think of this, George?
I really liked it. The smell was really leathery.
Yeah.
I got just a lot of leather, and it's really warm. It's not as bold as I thought it was going to be from the note. And
I think this is a happy grape.
This is a very happy grape. I find it very balanced. It's nice on dryness. The mouthfeel that you guys talked about was really good, and just a nice, wonderful aftertaste. I could sip on this for a long time.
A lot of good fresh fruits. It comes out. It's that classic New World Argentina flavor, but the structure is tremendous. The concentration that you get in your grapes are outstanding. These drink like Bordeaux's, but have that New World freshness to them. So they're really the best of both worlds. I can taste the passion. It's amazing.
I agree. I think these wines could be any type of wines. I mean, treated in a different way, they could be big aging potential wines. But we take the decision of making these wines fresher, easier to drink, and more approachable and with more fruit character.
And I think that really all plays into the whole food thing. I mean, you guys have such a great food culture down there, dude. Talk to me about your food culture. I mean, you owned a restaurant and some of the things. What do you like to serve with these wines? What are some of your fresher dishes that you make? I mean, everybody can say steak. Yeah, we want a nice bloody steak, but
Well, I always say that the best pairing is the local pairing. Is what people eat in the place. Here, I think asado, which is a grilling a piece of meat, is definitely it. But it's not just a steak. I mean, it's the flavor of the wood. In Mendoza, we don't have coal, so we have to light a fire, wait for the wood to burn, then we use those coals. Many people add a little of jarilla, which is a local plant. You add some dry pieces there, and it gives a very, very interesting smell.
Spell that. What's the local plant?
Jarilla, jarilla.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah,
it's
I've never heard of
desert
that.
plant.
I'm sorry, I don't
it's
mean
a
to
desert
interrupt,
plant.
But I'm
No,
interested.
definitely.
No, because I think there's a lot of those sodas that are imported from all over the world. But we live in a very diverse place in South Florida. There's a lot of, but I think I've heard of jarilla.
No. Here it's only from the desert.
It's only from the desert?
If you have it somewhere, maybe in Colorado. I might have seen it, but but Mendoza, Argentina, actually, it's 90% of the people is a descendant of Spanish or Italian.
Yeah.
So our food culture is actually very linked to their food culture.
Right.
With the adding of all the agriculture that we have that is very rich. So there's a lot there.
I don't think a lot of people understand the Italian influx. I think most people just think, I mean, I'm coming from an American point of view, I'm just people don't realize there's a heavy Italian influx, and it's just as much as the Spanish. I mean,
and it was mostly during World War II, wasn't it, when a lot of Italians came to Argentina?
Well, in the wine business, especially, I would say the heart of the wine business in Argentina is from Italians. Italians immigrating to Mendoza, like the Catenas. Many of them. In Buenos Aires also. Yes, we are a result of what?
A lot of refugees.
Refugees, definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank
it's interesting because my grandfather came over. His name was Gennaro Sammarco. He came over from Italy right the same time as Ernesto Catena's grandfather. He just moved to New York. He actually used to grow grapes in his backyard, but hey, if he would have moved to somewhere south, I could imagine myself growing up in Argentina very easily, So, salud. Absolutely. Cool. It's amazing. Fantastic. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to enjoy. We've got a bevy of wonderful wines here. And Morgan brought us a 2002 that she didn't even realize that she had. And for you folks at home that aren't keeping score, I mean, that could be over the hill, but we had Matthias try it here, and he said that it was pretty good. So I can't wait to try that when we come back on SoFlo Radio on ByTheGlassShow.com.
SoFloRadio.com. Radio's dirty little secret.
CBC5 is the executive liaison for all your building compliance needs. Serving South Florida from the Palm Beaches to Key West, CBC5 delivers 5-star service that brings...
let's just say BC or BDQ or whatever.
CBC5. It stands for Complete Building Compliance.
Oh, I ain't building nothing, so what can they do for me?
Well, they do more than plan review and permitting. They help the little guy cut through red tape.
I got duct tape holding together my carport.
Well, CBC5 can help. Let them deal with bureaucrats. They helped George Rodriguez solve a sewer lateral problem, and they saved him a ton of money and hassles.
By City Hall, who can do that?
CBC5 can do that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a commercial to finish. Contact Shoddy the Hottie at CBC5, 786-255-3851, or log on to cbc5.net. That's cbc5.net.
Put a team of professional consultants behind your home or business computer with Key Information Solutions, providing solutions to your internet and computing needs while keeping you on the cutting edge of technology. Preventative maintenance and networking support, hardware and custom-built computers. Let Key Information Solutions be your personal tech staff for your home or office with affordable hourly, monthly, or annual rates to fit anyone's budget. Call Key Information Solutions now. 954-973-3374. That's 954-973-3374. Or visit keyinformation.com.
When you're ready to actually lose weight safely and steadily while being monitored by a physician, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson is there for you. The family medicine practice was established by her father in 1956 and continues as a medical practice that now specializes in weight reduction. Dr. Kim Jacobson joined the practice 20 years ago as both a family medicine practitioner and weight loss specialist. The Weight Loss Clinic utilizes a combination of appetite suppression medication and vitamins to produce great results, usually 3 to 4 pounds per week for most patients. Now you can change your lifestyle while still enjoying your own food, just less of it. They offer a choice of 2, 3, or 4-week plans. So whether you just need to lose a few pounds or a lot, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson can help you. They're located at 5454 Northeast 4th Avenue in Miami, just 2 blocks west of 54th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. Call them at 305-751-0091. They'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. That's 305-751-0091. Get started on a beautiful new body today with Dr. Kim Jacobson and the Weight Loss Clinic.
Attention SoFloRadio.com listeners. Was that serious and broadcasty enough for you? Well, here's the skinny on our new show schedule. Wednesday nights, 7 to 9, it's me, the Eggman, with Captain Hook. We talk about everything. Then on Saturday nights, 7 to 9, H-Love joins me for a little show we love to do called Reggae Recipe. So you got it? Wednesday nights, 7 to 9, it's the Eggman and Captain Hook. And Saturday night, 7 to 9, it's me, the Eggman, and H-Love for Reggae Recipe on SoFloRadio.com.
And now we return you to By the Glass.
Hey, welcome back to By the Glass. How y'all doing? We're having a wonderful time here. We're just enjoying some really awesome wines here with Matias Fraga from the Tikal Winery, and he's a representative of a wonderful winery from the Mendoza region of Argentina. And these guys are producing some amazing stuff down there. And you know, Morgan's in the studio, and Morgan always brings us wonderful winemakers. And we can't thank you enough. And yeah, actually, you kind of cross over a little bit. I see some of your wines here have some grapes from the Salta region.
Well,
or?
Yes, only for Locura, which is our.
Since we didn't get a chance to try it because it's such an exceptional wine. They're rated 94, Robert Parker, and it's a blend. It's really the one when we were talking about the concept of the Super Tuscan. I think that's your Super Tuscan, the Locura. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about that? I mean, we're not going to get to try it, but at least we can embellish and the beauty of it.
Well, Locura, as the word says, is Ernesto's crazy idea of making a wine. We only do 300 bottles, Magnum only, and it's a blend of Malbec, Bonarda, and Torrontés, which are what we believe the 3 more representative grapes from Argentina. Right. So it's a very challenging process for us in production to blend a white grape into a red blend.
We tried the Torrontés when we had Thierry Abarrer.
Yep.
Right? He brought some with him. Interesting grape.
From Salta, yeah.
Hasn't caught on in America just yet.
Yeah, it's
we're working on it.
Little by little it's growing. Well, they sell the largest selling Torrontés in the market by far. But I think it has a very interesting profile, very floral, mineral at the same time, not sweet. So the problem with Torrontés is that opposite to what happened with Malbec is that quality can change a lot from one producer to the other. Right. In Malbec is so consistent that is what made Malbec famous. You could go to the shelf, pick any bottle of Malbec, and it would have been a very true wine to what you were expecting. With Torrontés, it's a guess. I mean, you might get a great bottle and you might not.
I'm glad you said that because I found that to happen with me because I've had a few different bottles and it was completely different. Like when I tried it on the show with you guys a few months ago, it was completely different than anyone I've ever tried before.
Yeah.
And that's all got to do with the surrounding area, right?
That was Yacachuya.
Yeah, well, definitely. Torrontés is what I would say is the grape that is loyal to a terroir as any other in Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
It really expresses its soul in a very, very small area. So Malbec, you can grow it, of course, with differences, but you can grow it in many places in Argentina, in Salta in the north, in Mendoza in the center, in Patagonia in the south. Torrontés only in Salta and only in Cafayate. So all the Torrontés that you see not many times come from there. But if you pick a nice bottle of Torrontés from Salta, you will definitely love it.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. So that's one of the main grapes that go into Locura.
Into Locura, well, it's only a 5%, and the challenge here is to blend it into the wine, not by co-fermenting with the skins, but by really blending with the wine, and that makes it a very difficult thing.
So so let me see if I get you on there. So you're fermenting the wine, not on its skins, but juice alone? Is that what you mean by that?
We do a Torrontés wine.
Right.
And then the
Make
wine goes into the blend
into
with the red blend of Malbec and Bonarda.
Do you use the similar types of yeasts for all three wines?
Usually for all our red wines, we don't use yeast, and natural. We expect fermentation to start naturally.
From the
we
skins?
Don't use
indigenous.
Yeah, we don't
Really?
use selected
That's
yeast.
amazing. See,
unless fermentation stops. Then we decide if we add
a
selected yeast or not. But we are trying to do everything to have less intervention in the wine as possible.
So you're finding you have enough indigenous yeast to create these wines without having to use a lab yeast.
In the atmosphere, you have enough yeast to
without getting infection, though, right?
If you keep a healthy winery and if you are clean and if you know what you're doing, yes, definitely.
The air is too clean.
Selected yeast.
Well, I'm just saying from winds and whatnot. When you do closed tank fermenter stainless steel.
We don't use. We use closed tanks for fermenting.
Yeah.
We also do small bunches in plastic bins.
Right.
With
primary.
open top.
Okay. Oh, really? Open top.
Open top, yes.
Okay.
Well, anyway, we also do fermentations in barrels with open top. We're trying always to do different things.
That's amazing. So that brings me. So speaking of different things in all this barrel, do you ever have some late harvest? Or are you doing anything with some?
Yes.
Maybe
from a vineyard, not from our vineyard in Vistaflores, but from a vineyard of the Catena family in another region. We selected a parcel of Semillon that is a white grape, also very traditional to Mendoza. And we put some sprinkles, so we try to induce botrytis.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay,
and we harvest in May, which is very, very late.
Right.
And we do a late harvest from...
And like you said, you don't really get a lot of fungus or a lot of moisture in that part of the year.
No. We have to throw water with sprinklers to get botrytis.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, we induce it. But Tikal is only red wines. It's all about blending Malbec with different things. I was saying we were talking about the label. If you look at the label, it's a painting from a friend of Ernesto Catena that is a couple dancing tango. And I asked Ernesto why he picked this for the label, and he said, if you take a close look, you can see that the guy is a little clumsy and he's putting his feet over the woman. So what I'm saying is maybe two individuals by themselves are not good, but doing something together, they can do something beautiful. That is Tikal, is the perfect marriage between Malbec and something else.
I always thought it was kind of like a Goya painting. It's a little gothic, but when you realize that it's two people dancing the tango which they say is the only legal way you can have sex in public is to dance the tango.
Really? In Argentina,
Sorry.
maybe.
Can I say that on radio?
Sure, of course
Yeah.
you can.
That's a good line.
But then when you realize that it's two people having the tango, it becomes a different animal,
Well, isn't
and
it
it's
supposed
beautiful.
to be a pimp and prostitute, the dynamic being worked out? No, that's true. That's supposed to be what they're working out in the tango.
Well,
I'm not
you
joking.
and
That's
I
the-
were supposed to bring sex into the radio show, so
Leave it to us.
yep. We
it to
just
George.
turned it into R.
Yeah.
It
that's our
was
thing.
PG.
Oh, well.
So speaking of sex, so then we're going to try the Amarillo.
Let's go with the Bonarda first.
Bonarda first? Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been interested in trying the Bonarda.
Well,
Let me,
actually, this is Tikal Patriota. This is our top seller for Tikal. It's a very successful wine here in the US. It's the first ultra premium blend of Malbec and Bonarda that was launched in the US market. Again, the big challenge for us was turning very old vineyards of Bonarda that 60 years ago used to produce large volumes of wine into balanced old vineyards of Bonarda that now will produce high quality wine.
well, you know what's interesting is I get more earth off of this. Is that because
Yes, I think
Is it
the
aging?
earth, yeah. Well, the engine is the same
is it
as
the
the
same?
previous one.
am I wrong, or do you get a little more earth off of this?
Yeah, this is bolder.
I
this
get
is way,
more
This is
earth.
bolder.
Yeah.
And
Bonarda is
also
bolder.
the
Bonarda is more
Bonarda-
Is that the grape
structured.
itself? Because I can't say that
To
I've ever
me-
tried Bonarda.
Bonarda gives me
I mean, that's not something you
ripe
buy.
blueberry skin flavor. It's not the blueberry fruit, but it's blueberry skin. And
I mean, I
There's
could-
almost a tannin in its
I
own
know
right.
that
Am I getting some
seems
petrol off of this too?
kind of weird, but
About petrol.
Acidity is definitely higher in Bonarda,
great
so you will
backbone.
notice more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I find a cherry character, like a red cherry character,
Yeah.
in the Bonarda that
That's
makes
it.
it very,
Red
very
cherry soda.
unique.
But like a pip
It doesn't taste as scary
So-
as it smells.
or like a Bing cherry, right?
Yeah, so it gives a.
But I get a lot. I mean, the oak is more prevalent too.
yeah.
That's
but
very
it
drinkable.
seems
I was
to
afraid
come
of
But
it.
the
through.
blue,
Maybe-
the
Here
berry,
we do have
the
barrels.
dark berry
Right.
fruit is
The dark
so
fruits are
there.
exceptional.
Deal,
Yeah.
Deal's making it try it. It doesn't taste like it smells. Yeah, it just
It's one of my favorite ones.
So being 60% Malbec, you can really notice the difference with the previous wine. You can definitely feel
Well-
the extra
I get that.
weight and
in between tasting and through my nose, I got so much violet right there. It was amazing.
very floral. That is a characteristic of the Malbecs
Yeah.
from Uco Valley, especially from this.
Yeah, but those are the very distinct characteristics of good Malbec. Happy grapes.
And the Bonardas
Happy
come
grapes.
from vineyards in the East region, so they are not in our area in Vistaflores, but they are 80-year-old vineyards of Bonarda. So with such a long time producing, now they are more balanced. And we try to work them with pruning to get a little more concentration.
The I was looking at a term, but the finish on this one isn't as austere. I think the Bonara kind of lightens it up a little bit. Is that
it's
just
much
me?
more fruity and much
The
less
finish
tannic,
does right.
I think.
Right?
In the natural.
Personally, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
But it is so food friendly and so
Tremendous.
like begging you to have another glass. I
is this
want.
higher alcohol content on this? It had very wide legs. It's a little higher.
13.9.
Yeah,
13,
definitely high alcohol.
13.8.
Very good. George
Yeah.
has been listening for
A
the last 2
little,
years.
a little.
I learned a
below
lot on this
14.
show.
Now the am I saying this right? Now it's a French word. Effluage process. Is that is that the word? I've never seen that term before. That's the term for the pruning, basically. You were just talking about, and the ventilation and the access to sunlight to clip the clip.
Yes.
I guess it's a French term.
Yes, what we take certain leaves from the surrounding the clusters,
Yeah.
not only to get more sunlight, but mostly to get more air.
You
going
want
through.
only the best buds to get the proper right. You want to cut away everything that's wrong. You want to prune it down to where it's the best selection. Correct.
Yes, and we use in the pruning we do an early pruning around February, where we take all those clusters that we don't leave in the plant and we press them like a white wine, and we make a rosé with very
Really?
very high acidity,
Oh,
low
wow, I'd
alcohol,
love to try that.
and we
That's
do
my favorite.
a champagne,
Me
a
too.
sparkling.
Oh wow, really?
A sparkling
You
wine.
don't sell that, do you, Morgan?
I
Traditional method.
wish.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's for
very
your
nice.
private parties, right?
No. Well, we are doing like 100,000 bottles. So
really, of that type of wine?
Yeah, of that sparkling. It's
maybe we'll have it in the States soon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I get you a bottle.
I love that kind of stuff.
Talk a little bit.
You can really,
if you don't mind, talk a little bit about the research going on with rain and silver oxide. Is it being shot into clouds to force irrigation?
Wow.
And a little bit of the research about hail management, canopy management. Because I think that's interesting. I think people would find that interesting.
My vineyard manager would be the perfect person to answer that question, but mostly there's nothing potentiating the rain, but what we do with silver is try to avoid hail mostly. So we say we plant it on the clouds and we disperse them. We have very, very good results in avoiding hailstorms in the south area of Mendoza, that is where we are located.
Because it seems to me like Mendoza is a perfect place to grow grapes, and that's the only thing that you have to.
So the hail is a physical detriment as it falls. It knocks.
Hail is the main damage that we suffer, and frost.
Anyone who's driven, I was driving in Northern California one time, and thankfully it was an old car about 20 years ago, and it just smashed my windshield. I had hail just destroyed my car. I mean, it destroyed it.
Yeah.
You know, and this was like on the mountain range, which is probably pretty similar to Argentina. You know, that part of California and whatnot. And it's just out of nowhere, boom, and its physical damage is tremendous.
Well, that was what I was saying. The big difference about the wine business. We deal with those variables, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's early March, you are 2 weeks to harvest, and you lose everything. And all you have to do is be patient and start working again and wait 1 more year to have another chance.
Yeah.
So
I'm not that patient.
I don't think a lot of it's amazing that, I think that's maybe why wine, I can't say, because California and America's got a good wine production, and you just didn't think that Americans would be that patient.
Yeah.
To produce. I could see Argentina, Italy, France even.
Of course, there are different products. I used to work for other products where the focus wasn't on making the absolutely better quality. So
quantity, not quality.
You go and you find grape, and if
there's
you
ways
didn't
around
hit your vineyard, you get it somewhere else. In this case, for Ernesto Catena, Tikal is, I don't want to say a hobby, but he really doesn't live of the success of this product, so we only do it because we can do it right.
Yeah.
If we can do it right, there's no rush. I mean, we can wait. There's no problem.
That's fantastic.
So it's a good work to have.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And the grapes, the wines are, like I said, they're big, they're bold, but they're very drinkable. I think you found that niche, that segment I was talking about, for people that like good quality stuff, but also something that's very approachable, food friendly. But it's not, it's not typical either, because you could say that about a lot of stuff. I mean, Argentina, for the most part, like you said, Malbec, you're going to find a good bottle. How hard is it to find a good bottle? But you guys have really come to the next level of putting yourself on another echelon. So
yeah, we don't want to be predictable. We rather be different than be perfect.
And I think that George marked on a good thing too, that you it doesn't smell as it tastes, and there's more. You perceive a lot more in there than there is.
There's more than meets the eye.
There's more than meets the eye. Thank you.
Yeah.
More than meets the nose.
Definitely, it's fantastic stuff. So. Well, let's keep on going. You don't even need to take another break.
You want to try the Amorillo 2007?
No, let's try some more wine.
Amorillo means love affair,
Yeah.
so why not go there next?
Yeah,
Ernesto. You gotta pronounce it right though, because it's either a love affair or you're yellow.
It sounded dangerously close to yellow.
So talk to me about the love affair now. Is this a love affair of the grapes, or is this a love affair of
This smells
Ernesto's,
wonderful.
Love affair of Argentina with the Malbec.
Okay.
This is the only wine that we label under Malbec in the Tikal line.
Yeah. So that's another interesting thing too, is that a lot of people might not know that in Argentina it's very similar to America in the marketing, to where you put varietals on the label, and I think it has to do with some of the success of Argentine wines. What do you think about that?
Yes, definitely. Mostly driven by the success of Malbec. I think that opened out the door to many people start trying other things from Argentina. But thanks to Malbec is how people discover Argentina.
I think so. Yeah, because still you can go try to France and Germany. You just unless you know what you're doing, you just don't know by picking a bottle. But you can pick up a decent bottle of wine from Argentina and then kind of know what you're getting and not be disappointed. And that would make me want to buy some more.
Well, the history of winemaking in Argentina is older than we believe. They've only been importing wine into the United States for the past maybe 20 years with any degree of seriousness, but they've been making beautiful wines for well over 150 years.
That speaks very different of Argentina to the rest of the New World countries. We are the only one drinking more than what we export. Completely opposite to Australia or Chile or South Africa or New Zealand.
Wow.
So
and you are the 5th largest producer, correct?
And we are the 5th largest producers.
Export.
So awesome. I think that gives a lot of personality to our industry.
Well, we had another gentleman on from a company called Medio a Medio, and he said that was the national drink of Uruguay, is the Medio a Medio, and it was a sweet wine and a dry wine mix. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Well, that's what he said. So I mean, he actually has the company, and
he's
that was
too
like
busy drinking his own wine.
Right, but it's kind of like it's not a kind of wine. It's the drink itself. It's called a half and half sweet, half more tannic, I guess, drier, and that's something that's very old, but that's their national drink is a wine-based drink. As opposed to, there's a lot of national drinks, but you can tell the culture is very.
But not many years ago, I mean, when I was 8 years old, in the table you would never see a bottle of Coke or Pepsi. I mean, it was wine and sparkling water, right. And you would get a little of wine and a little of sparkling, and that would be what we consider our flavored water. Let's put it that way.
And maybe
it was part of the everyday. Now things are changing. That's why the consumption is dropping, but it's increasing in quality. People every day in Argentina is trying to drink a better wine. That is good for everyone.
That's fantastic. Thanks to you guys for pulling it off too.
This is delicious.
Talk to me a little bit about this one. I mean, I get a lot of fresher fruit out of this. This is
very fruity.
Extremely.
It smells great. It smells just
so I think this is a great proof that
jellies, raspberries, plums.
Definitely Malbec can age if you do it in a good way. This is a 2007, so this has been at least 4 years in bottle now.
Velvety smooth.
I think still you get a lot of the fruit of the Malbec there.
Totally. The finish is tannic.
Very berry, and like cherry, like you mentioned before. It's not
tannic.
Sweet. It's not sweet like I would expect something this fruity to taste.
There's a nice austere dryness to the finish of this that you don't get with the other ones, and that speaks to the structure of this grape.
So the big challenge for many of the winemakers in Argentina now, we're trying to find a way to make a Malbec that will age elegantly for 20 years.
Without having to blend it at all, just 100%.
Without having to blend it at all. And it's an interesting challenge. It's a beautiful challenge.
Do you find that that's more in the viticulture or in the winemaking? Do you find that that's more in the agriculture or is it
nowadays
a both?
Anything goes from one or the other? It's always
could be a little bit of both.
Time.
Finding that perfect clone and that perfect terroir.
Yeah, mostly finding the perfect moment of harvest where you have the right acidity, the right structure, and at the same time, how do you enhance or preserve those characteristics in the winery when you make the wine?
Yeah.
But we are in the Ticado wines. We are very focused on the production of the grape more than on the production of the wine. Our winemakers are all vineyard managers. We don't have winemakers.
Talk to me a little.
We have vineyard managers making wine. But first, they are vineyard managers. I mean, our work is to understand the perfect moment of harvest and the perfect.
That's interesting. Here in my note, Luis Reginado.
Well, Luis was our winemaker for many years. 2 years ago, we started working with another winemaker. Luis still advises us on the vineyard, but he's focusing on Luca wines from Ernesto's sister, Laura. Laura Catena.
Sure.
Our winemaker now, Alejandro Kushnarov, again, like Luis, he is a vineyard manager, and they all have the same philosophy. I mean, if you do the right thing in the vineyard, you don't have to work too much in the winery. And actually, the best you can do is work as less as possible in the winery. I mean, the less you interfere in the winery, the
Keep
more
it simple.
true you are to what really matters.
I'm just blown away you guys
said.
use indigenous yeasts. I mean, it's amazing. You know, I don't think a lot of people do that as much as.
We are not correcting acidity either. That is a very common technique in Argentina.
That's amazing.
To correct acidity, and it's allowed. And we rather, again, sacrifice structure to harvest earlier, and then find a way to compensate that structure by blending, and not overripe, get a lot of structure, but then you have to correct acidity.
Yeah.
So we whatever we cannot do is what we do.
However, we
Well
can leave it
said.
alone.
I love the outlaw.
Well said.
Well, as we enjoy all these wonderful, wonderful wines, we like to do so safely and responsibly. Please do not drink and drive. Do not drink and over consume any wine, beer, spirits. Do so. Please wait till you're 21. Do not drink while pregnant. And always have a wonderful, wonderful, and a responsible time when enjoying such great wines as Tikal. This is an absolute wonderful time we're having here tonight. We're joined by Mr. Matias Fraga from Tikal Wines, and of course Morgan Hartman from Vine Connections is in studio. They always bringing us wonderful guests and trying out some really amazing stuff. Now, is there anything we haven't tried yet that we have to get to? Is there one more?
Got one more.
We have one more. Let's get into it.
Did we already do that 2002 one?
Yeah, we have a 2002.
This is
Let's see how it.
let's talk about 2002. I'll let the master talk about how what most wines that were don't have what they need to stand up, and what you want in a wine to stand up that's 12 years old. Go ahead.
Well, Júbilo should stand up because this is a 60% Cabernet Sauvignon, 40% Malbec. So, from its conception, this wine was meant to age well. So let's see if we've done things right?
Yeah, well, right off the bat, I mean, when we look at a wine, I can tell just from the color that it's more brick red, and it's got a lot more of that age on it. You can tell by the color. It's more of that sangre, that blood that comes through. And there's a lot of depth in here. You can tell that between the halo and the pitch, there's a tremendous amount of depth in there.
Wow.
Well, one of the things about wine from New World countries like Argentina is that we don't age them.
Right.
We drink them young, and so the opportunity to drink a wine like this 10 years old is
Pretty interesting.
pretty special.
It is, yeah.
And you can really see the integrity of the wine and the
So-
wine making when
Well,
you taste it.
it's still incredibly jammy on the nose. I get a lot of like preserves. You get raspberry preserves. More like open a bottle, a glass of Schmuckers. Right.
Oh, this has a lot of zing.
Right. That's what I'm getting off it. I get a lot of raspberry.
It tastes like cherry pie to me.
You get cherry pie?
Yeah.
I haven't tasted it yet. But
Absolutely. Tastes like cherry skin.
Yep.
that's amazing. Oh my God, that's very good.
It's cool
It's
when
got
you
great,
see that
great
integrity.
tannins in it. This is delicious.
That is really good. This wine is exceptional. I can't even
This
explain
was
it.
the one to finish with because it would have made the other ones taste very weak.
It's in the
Like
perfect
it's-
moment to drink it.
It's soft and lush,
Yeah.
and just has
Talk a little bit about the ageability about these wines. Like
I would love to know to understand it, but it's very unpredictable still. I mean, we find some vintages to age perfectly, and some others they lose all the primary aromas
So
and
is it like a
everything is
gamble?
secondary
I mean,
aromas.
you spinning a wheel of fortune when you let it age.
We are
or-
learning. I mean,
Is
we
it
are
tempting? It's like
we
you
are-
want to
we are-
drink it, you want to let it age. How do you-
Imagine that 20 less than 15 years ago there was no ultra premium wines in Argentina.
Okay.
I mean, we're a very young country as far as making high quality wines, so we are learning. This is a great example. It's a 10-year-old wine that is
So
very
full.
elegant, very enjoyable, easy to drink.
This is in the pocket.
Well, Vine Connections,
Complex.
the company
Yeah.
I work for, was founded in 1999. So this is only 3 years into the business. We were one of the first to actually bring in premium wines from Argentina. So
this is bright.
we don't have a lot of research. We don't
It's
have a
interesting
lot of
because and I don't
information.
get to drink a lot of aged wine. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, I age wine. I have it.
You
but
drink it quick?
Well,
Is
no,
that
but
what you're saying?
we,
He says.
we drink a lot of younger wines in this country, and I don't have a lot of Bordeaux's laying down. I'm not going to fool you. But to taste something that really what's gone here is a lot of those layers, and it's just bright there's still acidity. It's bright cherry, and it's bright acidity, and it really is. It's almost like it awoke tremendously after all these years dormant. So it's the opposite of what people think, that when you lay it down to sleep, when it wakes up, it's alive. And this wine is alive with flavor. It's an amazing wine.
I'm surprised too.
I mean, it could have been flabby.
I'm sure it's going to be even better in 20 minutes. I mean, it's opening very nice.
It's exceptional.
It's going to be a hell of an after party after the show today. Call it After the Glass. Got all these people. They're just driving around the block, right, waiting for 7 o'clock. That's true.
That's the next radio show.
Not joking. Yeah, but we turn the cameras and everything off because it gets a little,
Folks, thank you so much to everybody out there. Thank you to Matthias Fraga. Thank you to Morgan Hartman, Wine Connections. It's an absolute pleasure to have you guys on. You're enlightening. You're a master at your craft, and it's amazing having you here in America. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brett, for promoting all the wines. That is always
absolutely our pleasure. Please come back and see us, and everybody out there, have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Good night. Love you guys. Take care.
SoFloRadio.com and SoFloTelevision.com.